What's up, guys? DLE Kamel here, and really quickly I wanted to make a video on my thoughts on Master Duel as a free-to-play game and as a free-to-play player, and how viable it is for you to actually play this game free-to-play, and what are some of the things that you are going to have to accept, what are some of the things you're going to have to do, and what are some of the things that you are going to have to commit to as a free-to-play player. So let's get into it. Okay, I think the first thing that you should do as a free-to-play player, just to restate, Rise tips in his video, because if you didn't watch that first video, you really missed out on a lot, and I'm gonna say it's worth restating in every single one after. Pick up the Duelist Pass, pick up the bundle deals, because these cards here are extremely good, and most meta decks or most good decks that you're going to try to use your resources to craft or pull for are going to utilize these cards in some way. These are all extremely powerful cards. Ash Blossom is an insane hand trap. Lightning Storm is just an insane card to activate when you're super far behind, and Solemn Judgment is Solemn Judgment and negate anything, right? But my next biggest tip is going to be that you really have to decide what you want to play on your account first before you build anything, before you commit to opening any other packs, before you even craft any staples. That's right, it is super important, because your crafting resources are extremely limited, and you are not going to just be, spending 50 bucks to make a 3-pull and just reload your crafting resources. You're going to pull SRs and URs from the packs, and you're going to break them down, and then it's going to get to a point where, because you have not opened many more packs, you're going to start running out of crafting materials, except for the ones that you get from solo mode and missions. So I would say picking your deck carefully is what you want to do first. Now, do you have to play a for fun deck, or do you have to build a meta deck only, or can you build a for fun deck, right? This is one of the main things in Duel Links, where you pretty much had to make a meta deck as free to play, or you were going to be behind. And I'm going to say that you do not have to play a meta deck as a free to play player. That's one of the biggest strengths of Master Duel, being free to play with the crafting system and anything. You can make the deck you want, and you should be able to craft it in its entirety and its extra deck with the free-to-play gems that you get. Given after that, you may have a little bit of trouble, or you may have to wait a little while for you to be able to craft another deck. But your first deck is going to be super important, because this is where you're going to put the majority, if not all, of your starting resources. So you can see I picked Cyber Dragon. I believe Rye picked Tri Brigade, but he also built a Cyber Dragon deck after that. And one other thing about inside the decks is you definitely want to take a look at and understand which of these generic staples that your deck is really going to be making use of, so that you can target them and understand, which ones are critical, which ones you're going to need to play the deck, and which ones you can leave for later. Cyber Dragon was a much more expensive deck than I thought. I ended up not pulling too much from the packs. This requires 3 core, 3 emergency, a lot of super rares, extra deck monsters, and then on top of that, I had to craft 3 Pot of Prosperity, an extra Lightning Storm, and an Ash Blossoms, which I still need to craft an extra Ash Blossoms. I don't have 3. And I also had to craft a couple of these extra deck monsters down here, specifically the Salamangreat Almirage, because I know this is a generally useful Link monster. You can see that I have spent a lot of resources. I still have some left, but I did spend a lot of resources to fully craft out this deck, and that's why understanding exactly which cards you're going to need for what you're going to want to play it's going to be the way to go. So one card that I didn't get was Ultimate in Perm. I can search it here if I can spell. Imperm, boom, and boom. Oh my god, can I spell? Impermanence. Oh my gosh, I'm dumb. Okay. Infinite. Oh my gosh, it's infinite imperm, not ultimate. Oh my gosh. All right. This is an example of a card that I did not get. And because I kind of invested in other staples already, it is going to be pretty steep for me to get this. In fact, me crafting an infinite impermanence is greatly going to hinder my chances of making a second deck. These are, this is a ultra rare card, which costs 330 CPUR. I have 56 right now, so I'm going to need a total of 90 to craft a playset of infinite impermanence, given that's if I wanted to put it in this deck, if I wanted to take out something else instead, because I crafted other things before I crafted a card like infinite impermanence, which looking back on it, maybe that's something I would have wanted to do besides crafting Pot of Prosperity, or maybe, you know, some of these extra deck guys, which I maybe could have just pulled with gems instead. So making the decision beforehand to know which back row and which staples that you need for your deck, that the deck you want to play specifically, is important, because you just don't want to craft any staples. Find out what you want to play, find a good deck list, and craft the staples that you know you're going to play. The rest of these archetype cards, I really suggest that you do not spend your crafting materials on them unless you absolutely have to, because archetype specific cards, of course, they are going to be obtainable via the special packs. Now, this also raises another question. If I'm playing a deck and it requires me to go into multiple special packs, what do? I actually ran into this issue because I had to get machine duplication. And how do you obtain machine duplication? Oh, well, you just go to the pack Roid Nexus. That's right, Roid Nexus. You can't even get machine duplication from Stalwart Force, so you would have had to pull it out of here, pull something in Roid Nexus out of the master pack, and then go into Roid Nexus. I didn't even have this unlocked. So now, just to get this one SR card in your deck, do you go and you pull from Roid Nexus, or do you just craft that one card that you need? I'm going to say that if you have a deck, or if you have a card that requires you to go into a secret pack, I would say to abstain from that secret pack unless you have an excess of gems, or unless there are multiple cards from that pack that you need. In Cyber Dragons specifically, I needed, well, basically all these Cyber Dragons, including the ultra rares here, and I could get them from the ultra rare pack. I did not think it super worth to go into Roid Nexus because I was super low on gems, so I wouldn't have had enough to go for a 10 pull of that. So I just straight up crafted this instead, broke down some stuff I didn't need, and I was able to do that pretty comfortably with super rares. For ultra rares, it's going to be tighter. That's why you're going to have to, you know, play a little bit safer. Now, I did tell you that for super rares, but for ultra rares, let's say something like the Salaman Great Almirage. Again, Salaman Great Almirage, I know in any deck that just requires one normal summoned monster with 1000 less attack, I'm going to be able to summon this guy, not just in Cyber Dragon. And you get this from the pack Blazing Fortitude, another different pack that I did not have access to, so I simply crafted this. Now, I believe that, again, if you just need one card, if you don't have like 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 gems saved up, you're just going to want to craft this card. However, if you are in the process of building your first deck, right, you will have excess gems. So if you do have an extreme amount of excess gems, I say you pull on the secret pack, and then hopefully you get some good pulls and you are able to get some more crafting materials from that. You should think of your crafting materials as your last resort, your saving grace, unless you need a staple which you cannot comfortably unlock in a secret pack. But I would say just about anything that can pop up in a secret pack, you want to prioritize pulling it from the pack instead of crafting it first. You can see Pot of Prosperity only in the master pack. I was not going to pull that out of any secret pack whatsoever. As well as these bundle cards, they are not in any secret pack. They're only in the bundle deals and the master pack. So be careful of that before you craft other cards that may be in a secret pack. Cards like these, as well as Solemn Judgment, again, not in a secret. Oh, this isn't a secret pack. What the? Okay, Solemn Judgment is a secret pack. Excuse me, I take that back. But some of this other stuff, you guys get the gist. All right, anything else to cover? Let's see. Also, guys, really quick, I don't know what the heck is going on with my game right now. However, I wanted to tell you really quick because I just realized I didn't mention it. You're going to have to play solo mode quite a lot if you want to get resources past the initial bit. At the beginning, there's only 4 scenarios, 2 practice ones, and then 2 that give you kind of cards afterwards. But once you complete those, you will unlock many more and those scenarios will have branching paths that gives you gems on the second go around, that give you crafting materials. So you definitely want to grind out solo mode after you build your first deck and you feel like, you know, you don't have many more resources to spread around. You definitely want to head into solo mode and grind that out. Free to play, I definitely think free to play in a duel, I don't think that you are hindered whatsoever. It is just the fact that once you build your deck, you are going to be fully subjected to whatever your deck's inherent counters, strengths, or weaknesses are, and you're not going to be able to do much about it except just craft tech cards or, you know, floodgates or anything else that can really help your deck against common things that you're going up against and losing every time. On the ladder, I did see some extremely meta decks at low ranks, which is pushing me to the belief that if you're a free-to-play player, your first best bet might be to craft a meta deck like Tri-Brigade or Invoke Dogmatica or Virtual World or Prank Kids. Guys, don't shoot me for saying meta decks. They may not be meta, whatever. They're just good decks that I know about, right? Eldritch. And that's it, dude. I got my ass beat by Eldritch. I will upload that duel. It was absolutely hilarious later. But yeah, I'm going to say that you definitely want to build the best deck that you can, that you like. This is a good opportunity to build something that is good and just something that fits your taste. Go out there and find something that you specifically want to build that is also good. I'm not going to say, you know, don't build a bad deck, guys, because the ladder is not going to be as enjoyable, and the ladder is everything in Master Duel. You really want to build a deck that can compete and win consistently above all else, I feel, but you should still try to build something that you want. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Let me know if you feel like there's anything I missed. This is just a quick day 1 free to play video. I'm gonna have some more in-depth ones later in the week. So peace out, and I'll see you later.